Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to break down one of the most fundamental topics in business studies, the nature and significance of management. So whether you're getting ready for your board exams or you're just curious about what makes an organization really tick, you've definitely come to the right place. So let's kick things off with a little puzzle. On one hand, you've got the Tata Group. I mean, a massive, massive conglomerate that operates in over 100 countries. And on the other hand, you have Namchi Designer Candles, a small business started by an entrepreneur in rural Sikkim. What in the world could possibly connect these two? Well, the answer is this powerful, invisible force called management. It's really the secret ingredient that lets any organization, big or small, function, grow, and hit its goals. Successful organizations don't just get lucky. They get where they are through a very deliberate process, and that process is called management. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the secret ingredient itself, then we'll dissect its anatomy, we'll get into the big debate about its true nature, look at the machine that actually runs it, and then we'll finish with the one force that holds it all together. All right, first up, let's build a really solid foundation. What are we actually talking about when we use the word management? Okay, you might want to get your highlighters out for this one because this is the textbook definition and you absolutely need to pay close attention here. Management is a process of getting things done with the aim of achieving goals effectively and efficiently. Now, those last two words, effectively and efficiently, are so crucial. And trust me, they are not the same thing. Let's break that down, okay? Effectiveness is all about the end result. Did you finish the job? Did you hit the target? That's effectiveness. Efficiency, on the other hand, is all about how you did it. Did you do it with the least amount of cost, the least waste, in the shortest time? For example, if your goal is to make 5,000 units, and you do it, fantastic, you were effective. But if you had to run extra shifts and waste a ton of electricity to get there, you weren't very efficient. The whole point of good management is to be both. So we know what management is. Now let's start to dissect it. What are its core characteristics, and what are its main goals? You see, management isn't just one simple thing. It has these 7 unique characteristics. It's goal-oriented, which means it's always aiming for a specific result. It's all-pervasive, meaning you need it everywhere, from a hospital to a school to a cricket team. It's multidimensional, which we're going to dig into in just a second. It's a continuous process. It never, ever ends. It's a group activity, because it takes teamwork. It's a dynamic function, constantly adapting to a changing world. And finally, it's an intangible force. You can't touch it, but you can definitely feel its presence when it's working well, and especially when it's not. Now, let's zoom in on that multidimensional aspect, because this is really cool. You can think of every manager as juggling 3 things at the exact same time. First, there's the management of the work itself. What problem are we trying to solve? Second, there's the management of people. Who are our most important assets? And third, the management of operations, the actual process that combines the work and the people to create that final product or service. And every manager is trying to hit 3 key objectives, which we can split into organizational, social, and personal. It's super important to remember that managers have to think about social objectives, like using eco-friendly methods, and also personal objectives, like helping their employees grow in their careers. But first, let's focus on the bedrock, the organizational goals. For the organization itself, the main goals are pretty logical, right? First, you have to survive. You've got to earn enough money just to cover your costs. Second, you need to make a profit. Profit is the reward for taking risks and the reason to keep going. And third, you want to grow. That could mean more sales, more employees, more products. Simple as that. This brings us to a classic debate, and I guarantee you this is a very common exam question. Is management an art? Is it a science? Or is it a profession? Like being a doctor or a lawyer. Well, the truth is, it's really a blend of both. You see, like a science, it has a structured body of knowledge and principles that have been developed over time through observation and experiments. But like an art, how you apply that knowledge is totally personal and creative. 2 managers can have the exact same knowledge, but they'll handle a situation completely differently based on their experience and intuition. So you could say the practice of management is an art, but it's an art based on a science. So what about being a profession? Well, it has some of the features, right? There's a body of knowledge you can go and learn, but it doesn't quite tick all the boxes. See, unlike a doctor or lawyer, you don't legally need a specific degree to become a manager. There's no mandatory exam you have to pass, and there's no single professional group that everyone has to join. So while it's becoming more professional, it's not a full-fledged profession. At least, not yet. So how does all this theory actually get put into practice? Let's take a look at the structure of management inside an organization, the different levels, and the jobs that they do. Management usually works on 3 levels. Way up at the top, you've got your CEO, your chairman. They're the ones setting the big vision and the overall strategy. Then in the middle, you have your department heads. They interpret those big plans and act as the crucial link to the people on the ground. And then at the bottom, you have the supervisory or operational managers, like foremen, who are directly overseeing the workforce and making sure the day-to-day work actually gets done. And here's the thing. No matter which level they're on, all managers perform these 5 core functions. It all starts with planning, deciding what to do before you do it. Then comes organizing, setting up all your resources. That's followed by staffing, finding the right people for the right jobs. Then you have directing, which is all about leading and motivating them. And finally, there's controlling, checking to make sure everything is going according to plan. And this whole thing is a continuous cycle. Now, for the final and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle. What is the force that holds all these functions and all these levels and all these people together so that they work in perfect harmony? Now listen up, because this is a really crucial point to remember. Coordination is not some separate 6th function. No, it is the very essence of management. It's the common thread that runs through all the other activities, planning, organizing, all of it, to make sure there's unity of action and not just chaos. And why is it so vital? Well, as companies get bigger, it gets a lot harder to make sure everyone's pulling in the same direction. Different departments, like marketing and finance, might have their own goals that sometimes conflict, and you've got all these specialists who tend to focus only on their little piece of the pie. Coordination is the force that harmonizes all these different parts, making sure they work together towards that one common goal. All right, let's put it all together. Think of this slide as your final revision guide. Remember, management is all about achieving goals both effectively and efficiently. It has key characteristics like being goal-oriented and dynamic. It has to balance 3 types of objectives: organizational, social, and personal. It works through 5 core functions: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. And finally, coordination is the essential glue that binds every single one of these pieces together. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Management isn't just for big-shot CEOs. It is a fundamental life skill. How can you apply these principles of effectiveness, efficiency, and coordination to your own studies, to your projects, or even just to managing your day? Mastering this isn't just about passing an exam. It's about mastering your own goals. Think about it.